محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبعد. Let's have Osama.
Part 2 of life, the Quraysh. Around the 5th century, Quraysh Qusay ibn Kilab led a revolt against the tribe of Khuza'ah and managed to retake control of Mecca. The members of his tribe, known as the Quraysh, were direct descendants of Prophet Ismail. By the 6th century, the Quraysh enjoyed a position of honor among the several tribes scattered around Arabia because they took care of the Kaaba and the pilgrims that would come to visit. They would feed the visitors, give them shelter, and organize trade festivals where people could do business. Mecca was a magnet that attracted tribes from all over the peninsula to come for worship, even though it had now become a place of idolatry.
Alright, so now we're going to talk about the status of the family of the Prophet ﷺ. Right, the Quraysh were honored and respected because they took care of the Kaaba. Right, people would come from all over Arabia, they'd get Zamzam, they'd get dates, and it was an honor for the Quraysh to take care of the Hujjaj. Right, and that's why they were respected, because these are the people of the Kaaba. Go ahead, so continue.
The tribe of Quraysh consisted of many different families or clans. The family of Hashim was now among the most prominent. Abdul Muttalib, the chief of the clan, became the unofficial leader of the Quraysh in Mecca. He had many children. One of his favorite was Abdullah. It was predicted that he would carry on the legacy of his father, but it was not to be. Abdullah married Amina from the Zuhra clan. A few months later, on his way to Yathrib in the north, he became ill and passed away, leaving his wife pregnant.
Alright, so the Prophet ﷺ, right, his mother was Amina, and she was from the Zuhra clan, and his father passed away before his birth in Yathrib. What's Yathrib? Medina, right? And Zuhra clan was the clan in Medina. So the Prophet ﷺ has relationship with Medina in two ways. His mother's family was from there, and also that his dad passed away near Medina. Okay? So Abdul Muttalib, his grandfather, he is like the leader, right? Because even, remember the incident of Abraha trying to destroy the Kaaba, right? Abdul Muttalib was the one who said that, give me back my camels. And then he's like, why are you asking me about camels? When I'm here to destroy your house? He's like, I can take care of the camels, the Lord of the house will take care of the house. And that's why there was so much fear, that the last time the people tried to attack the Kaaba, that they were destroyed, and then the Tayr there was birds that came out, and they were pelted. So people were afraid, and they held the Quraysh with honor and respect. Alright, let's have Mohammad.
Orphan. Amina gave birth to a son on Monday in the month of Rabi' al-Awwal in the year 570. The child's grandfather named him Mohammad, which meant the praised one, a rare name in Arabia. It was the custom in Arabia that infants of noble families be brought up in the desert with the Bedouins. Some tribes had a reputation for nursing and raising children, like Sa'd ibn Bakr, where Muhammad ﷺ spent his childhood. There was less disease, and the pure language was uncorrupted by urban living. A child would grow up to be together, and there were less. A child would grow up to be tougher, and there were less immoral influences than in the city. Muhammad ﷺ grew up in the household of Halima, who was his foster mother, and learned the ways of the desert. He would visit Mecca every few months to see his mother, only to return to the desert again. Eventually, he was returned to his mother a few years later. Little Muhammad ﷺ was from one of the noblest families among Quraysh. Arabs preserved their family trees very carefully because it was an important consideration in their society. And Muhammad's lineage was well known through his 21st paternal grandfather, Adnan, who was one of the prominent descendants of Ismail.
Okay, continue.
After a short while, when Muhammad ﷺ was only 6, Amina became very ill and passed away while mother and son were on a journey. Muhammad, now having lost both mother and father, was taken care of by his grandfather Abdul Muttalib. He treated him like his own son, in fact. In fact, he allowed Muhammad to sit next to him on his special seat in front of the Kaaba, a privilege which his own children did not even enjoy. However, when young Muhammad was only 8, he also passed away. It was his uncle Abu Talib who would raise him from now on. Abu Talib loved his nephew very much and would even take him along when he journeyed to Syria and other places for business.
Alright, so here you go. We see that the Prophet ﷺ, when he was born on a Monday. That's why he used to fast on Mondays. That's why it's from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to fast on Mondays and Thursdays. One of the reasons to fast on Mondays, he said, I was born on a Monday. He was born, according to most historians, in the Rabi' al-Awwal. So most historians say the 12th. We don't know if the 12th is the day that he was born, but most historians are pretty sure the 12th was the day that he passed away. The year 570, how did they know? 570 was the year of the elephant. The incident of the elephant happened on that year. So the Prophet ﷺ, right, Muhammad, Prophet ﷺ's name is Muhammad. In Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to him as Ahmad, the most praised one. And he was raised in, we know the whole story about Halima Sa'diyah and why they would go and try to keep them away from the city in their first years. And she was nursed by Halima radiallahu anha. And in that time, there's also barakah that was coming. Just from the presence of the Prophet ﷺ in her family. Her donkey was weak. She wasn't producing a lot of milk. But as soon as the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, was blessed, was in their presence, their donkeys was the fastest of the donkeys. The mother started producing milk. So this barakah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose him to do great things. So anyone who was around the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they saw the impact of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in their lives. Similarly, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not in our presence, but at the same time, the more we adopt and incorporate his sunnah within and his teachings within our lives, the more barakah we'll find in our relationships. Right? If we say, like, for example, anybody can come home, right? They can come home and they can just live their life. But if we come home and we say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, if we do siwak when we enter the house, if we, greet our families with love and respect as the Prophet ﷺ used to do, that family relationship, the hearts will come closer together. Anybody can use the bathroom, anybody can sleep, anybody can change their clothes, anybody can eat. But the more we incorporate the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, the more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make those acts worthy, worship, and will get rewarded for them as well. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he passed away when his mother passed away when he was very young. His grandfather passed away also when he was very young. And that is something that, he was very close to his grandfather. The grandfather saw potential in him. And Abu Talib, right? Abu Talib, also his uncle, he was very close to. He had some uncles that he was very close to. Three of his uncles that he was very, very close to.
Ali?
Ali's not his uncle, his cousin. Hamza, Abbas, and Abu Talib. And who is the one uncle that gave him a lot of challenges in his life? Abu Lahab. Alright, so the Prophet ﷺ had a very big family. So you'll see this coming back, inshallah. Alright, shepherd. Let's have Mushab.
Shepherd. However, Abu Talib was not very wealthy like his father, so Muhammad ﷺ had to work to earn a living and help his uncle. He began his career as a shepherd, taking care of flocks of sheep and goats for the people of Mecca. A shepherd learns a great deal of responsibility. He must guide the sheep together as a group and protect them from the predators at the same time. It also teaches the shepherd patience and gives him much time to think and reflect away from the excessive noise of the city. Many of the prophets sent by Allah to other communities were known to be shepherds, and at some point in their life, because a person's occupation has a great effect on his personality.
Right, so there's hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he said that all prophets were shepherds. And they asked, oh, even you, O Messenger of Allah? He said, even me. I used to, shepherd for qararit. Qararit are like pennies from my paternal aunts in Mecca, in the valleys of Mecca. Right? And Zubayr radiallahu anhu, his mother Safiya, that was his aunt. So the Prophet ﷺ and other prophets are shepherds because shepherd, one of the benefits of that is that you learn how to keep the flock together. Right? There's one that goes astray, but you have to bring that back while maintaining everybody else. And there's a lot of humility. Right? It's a hard life. And being a prophet, it's hard. There's the dedication, there's commitment, there's long hours. Right? And it's a training process that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them through to make sure that they had empathy, understanding. And that's something that we have to understand, is that we want to keep people together as much as possible. Alright, we should continue.
A coalition to protect the weak. Due to the tribal nature of the society, people in power were able to get away with crimes against those in weaker positions. Once a merchant from Yemen came to Mecca and was cheated by one of the noblemen of Quraysh named Al-As ibn Wa'il. The man pleaded with the leaders in Mecca, but Al-As and his clan were too well connected. Finally, some influential men felt sorry for him and decided that something must be done. This event occurred shortly after a war that raged between the Quraysh and another tribe. Many people were tired of warfare, so a few leaders assembled together in the house of Abdullah ibn Jud'ah and formed a pact where each leader would stand up for the weak and oppressed, regardless of how powerful the oppressor may be. It was called the Pact of Excellence, or Hilf al-Fudul. They went to the criminal and forced him to return the merchandise to the victim. Muhammad proudly took part in this pact and used to praise it throughout his life.
Yeah, so this is Hilf al-Fudul. I want all to know this because this is very important. The Prophet ﷺ, he participated in it before the da'wah, before the prophethood, and he praised it many years after. So, is it permissible to have coalitions with non-Muslims in terms of forming pacts of justice, removing oppression, removing harm? Okay, yes, it is. What's the evidence? Hilf al-Fudul. Go back to this all the time. The Prophet ﷺ said, I participated in a pact in the house of Abdullah ibn Jud'ah, that if they gave me red camels, it would have been more beloved to me, that participating in that is more beloved to me than red camels, or something to that effect. Red camels is a commodity, it's a luxury. The Prophet loved to participate in that, and the people that he participated in were non-Muslim. But stand up for justice, even if you're participating in non-Muslims, this is a worthy cause and praiseworthy cause. This person here, Al-As ibn Wa'il, you know his son and his grandson. His son is Amr ibn al-As, and his grandson is Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, radiyallahu anhuma. Alright, reputation. Let's have Salman.
It was well known that Muhammad was one of the few who refused to worship idols from a very young age. He would visit the Kaaba but direct his worship only to Allah. It was common practice to touch two certain idols while going around the Kaaba and praying, but Muhammad used to skip this part. He also abstained from eating any meat that was slaughtered in the name of an idol. However, he never openly protested against idol worship and mostly kept his beliefs to himself. After shepherding for a few years, he took an interest in trade and became a businessman who would trade people's goods for them. Most noblemen among the Quraysh were merchants by profession. However, Muhammad stood out from the rest due to his honesty and sincerity. He quickly became known in Mecca as Al-Amin, the honest one. Also, he was known for his high morals, chaste character, and avoidance of wine, gambling, illicit relations, and other vices.
So Prophet ﷺ, even before Islam, right, he was naturally, his fitrah was very pure. He stayed away from idol worship, he stayed away from immorality, indecency. And subhanAllah, when you have someone with a pure character, usually they gravitate towards other people with pure character. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, with these characteristics, someone who was really close to him, even before he became a prophet, was Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Because Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had the same thing. He said, I wouldn't drink wine. He said, not based on a theological premise, or I thought that it was wrong, I just saw how crazy people would act. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu avoided wine as well. And there are others. There was Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufayl radiallahu anhu, who was a Hanif. He was someone who worshipped the Lord of Ibrahim alayhi salam. He would tell people, what you're doing, you're sacrificing the idols is wrong. And he would only eat meat that was sacrificed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right, so Prophet ﷺ saw this and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected him. Alright, let us have, where is Mahi?
A wealthy lady named Khadija hired him to trade her merchandise in Syria for her. He was to receive a percentage of commission from the deals. He performed the task with such precision and honesty that she later proposed to marry him by sending one of her friends to ask him if he was alive. She had received many proposals after her second husband had died, but she refused all of them. However, she saw something special in Muhammad. Muhammad had to raise the needed money to pay for her dowry, which was 500
Dirhams.
dirhams.
Okay.
He was 25 while Khadija was not quite older than him. She had been married twice before. This did not deter him, though, since he had all the qualities he could ask for: righteous character, noble lineage, beauty, and wealth. Muhammad and Khadija were married, and they had 6 kids. Two boys for 4 girls. Both boys died in their infancy, but only the one daughter lived. Yet the 2 boys were destined to be substituted by the 2 others.
Okay, so the Prophet ﷺ married Khadija radiallahu anha, and it's important to spend a little bit of time on this. We're not going to go into too much detail, but just in general, the Prophet ﷺ has been accused by many people of marrying based on desires, right? And the Prophet ﷺ, yeah, he did have desires. At the same time, his marriages weren't desire motive and desire based and driven. Why? Because when the Prophet ﷺ married all of his other wives after Khadija radiallahu anha passed away and after the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ, or close to the end of the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ. Khadija radiallahu anha passed away when the Prophet ﷺ was 50 years old. The Prophet ﷺ, he married her, and scholars, they differ. Remember I told you about historical facts and stuff? Some people, most historians say that she was 40. Others say she was closer to like 28, 30 years old, right? Because people in that time used to get married a lot younger. But she was married twice before, right? All of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ were previously married except Aisha radiallahu anha. Okay? So very important to remember. And the Prophet ﷺ had a special love for Khadija radiallahu anha. Aisha radiallahu anha said that, when the Prophet ﷺ would talk about Khadija radiallahu anha, it was as if there was nobody else. And part of that love is that the Prophet ﷺ had children from her. All of the Prophet ﷺ's children were born from Khadija radiallahu anha, except for Ibrahim was born from Ali, and we'll get there when we get there, inshallah. So what are the Prophet ﷺ's children's names? Zainab. Okay, let's. Fatima is the youngest. Ibrahim. There was Qasim, right? And there was Ruqayya and Kulthum, right? Ruqayya and Kulthum, they both married Uthman radiallahu anhu, right? One was married to them, then she passed away, and then Uthman radiallahu anhu married the sister. That's why one of the names of Uthman radiallahu anhu, nicknames are Uthman radiallahu anhu, Dhun Nurayn, the one with the 2 lights. Who are the 2 lights? The 2 daughters of the Prophet sallallahu, alayhi wasallam. Fatima radiallahu anha was married to who? Ali radiallahu anhu. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam was married to Aisha. Who's Aisha radiallahu anha's father? Abu Bakr. And he's married to Hafsa. Who's Hafsa radiallahu anha's father? Umar. So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam had a very close relationship with the 4 khulafa. Okay, another thing, remember. So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was living with Abu Talib, and Abu Talib was like his guardian per se. But the Prophet ﷺ understood, and he had that ihsas and that realization and that consideration that, I can't just leech off my uncle. My uncle has his own things, his own responsibilities, his own thing. So the Prophet ﷺ offered to take in Ja'far and Ali, which were his cousins. And you'll see this here. Ja'far's not mentioned here, but that's also mentioned. Alright, who's reading this? Mine? Go ahead.
Young boy named Zayd ibn Haritha was separated from his family and ended up in Makkah. Muhammad and Khadija decided to adopt him, and he became known as Zayd ibn Muhammad. A few years later, there was a name in Makkah.
Famine? There was a famine?
There was a famine in Makkah, and proved this to be very difficult, especially for Abu Talib, who had supported a large family. In order to ease the burden on him, Muhammad and Khadija took one of his sons, Ali, into their household and raised him as their own child. Thus, they became a happy family of 8.
So, Zayd ibn Harith, right? He's very close to the Prophet ﷺ. He was known as Zayd ibn Muhammad until Surah Al-Ahzab was revealed. Say, don't call him by your son, you've adopted him, but call him by his father's name. So he became known as Zayd ibn Haritha. So he's very close. We'll get to that inshallah later. But he was raised in the household of the Prophet ﷺ. His son is Usama. Later he's going to be born, Usama bin Zayd, and the Prophet ﷺ loved him as well. And he loved his mother as well, and Usama's mother as well, which is Ayman. Ayman is, when the Prophet ﷺ's mom passed away, right? Ayman was the one who brought him back from Medina to Mecca. So she took care of him, and she was very close to the Prophet ﷺ. Zayd ibn Haritha ends up marrying her. Okay? And she's African. She's of black descent, African descent. And most of the scholars say that she's the one who told the Prophet ﷺ about the righteous king in Abyssinia. Okay? And then, so subhanAllah, so she ends up marrying Zayd ibn Haritha, so there's a huge age difference there. Because she took care of the Prophet ﷺ when the Prophet ﷺ was young, and then she married Zayd. The Prophet ﷺ took care of Zayd when Zayd was young. Right? But in society, that happens. That's society that happens. In our society, it might seem like it's strange, but in our society, it's not a big deal. Alright, let's have, go ahead, what's your name? Rosaire, yes, go ahead.
Around the time Muhammad was 35, the Quraysh faced a great threat. The Kaaba was on the verge of collapsing. It had been damaged by major flooding and was desperately in need of repair. They finally decided to tear part of it down and rebuild it anew. It was agreed upon by the leaders that only pure money would be used, not wealth earned from usury, prostitution, or theft. They proceeded in their task and rebuilt the walls until it was time to put one of the special stones known as the black stone back in its place. This stone was special because it was the final stone to be placed by Prophet Ibrahim and was a marker for where pilgrims should start to worship.
Okay, inshallah. Okay, continue.
Each tribe demanded that they should have the honor of replacing it back in its position. The arguing became so severe that war seemed imminent. One determined clan, the Abdullah, brought a bowl filled with blood and had each family member dip their hands in it, signifying that they were willing to fight to the death. They allied with the
Adi clan?
Adi clan and refused to budge. There was stalemate for several days, and a war was about to break out. However, an elder among the Quraysh suggested that the next person who comes to visit the Kaaba would decide who gets the honor, and everyone agreed.
Alright, Jazakumullah, very good, mashallah. Alright, let's continue.
The Quraysh identified the man who was walking towards the Kaaba, and they shouted, and the honest one, is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They were happy that it was someone they held in high esteem. If it was anyone else, he probably would choose his own clan for the honor. But instead of favoring his own family, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam appeased all clans by asking for a sheep. He placed the black stone on it and had one leader from each clan hold a side of the sheep, while they all carried the rock to its place. He then replaced the stone himself, and the reconstruction was completed. War was averted through a policy of compromise. However, the Quraysh ran out of clean money and shortened the dimensions of the Kaaba, leaving it more cubic than rectangular. For the missing part, a low semicircular wall was put in the place of the original structure to mark the boundaries. They raised the walls higher than the original building was and placed a roof over it to prevent thieves from entering. The Quraysh also raised the door of the Kaaba several feet above ground level so they could control who would be allowed to enter.
Alright, so then you see that subhanAllah, many points you there from here, but just 5 years before prophethood, everybody loved the Prophet ﷺ. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, فَإِنَّهُمْ لَا يُكَذِّبُونَكَ وَلَكِنَّ الظَّالِمِينَ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ يَجْحَدُونَ. O Muhammad ﷺ, they're not denying you, but the oppressors are denying the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their gripe or their contention is not with you as a person, it's about your message. That's why they don't like you. Because they love them. Sadiq al-Amin. Right? They're like al-Amin, they're all happy. Okay, yes, he's the one. And then they decided and they liked him, right? Also about the Kaaba, what is this? What's the marker? Today, do we still have the marker or did they rebuild the Kaaba? They rebuilt the Kaaba many times, but they left it according to this dimension. That's why the Hatim or the Hijr, that's why you can't do tawaf around it, you have to go around that area. Because originally, the Kaaba extended up until there. So later on, people decided, they thought, should we rebuild it? And the Prophet ﷺ even thought about rebuilding it based on its original dimension. But it's just something which is difficult to break down the Kaaba and rebuild it, right? So that's why he did do it. Alright, seclusion, last part, inshallah. Muhammad ﷺ continued his profession as a merchant for many years and lived a simple life with his wife and children. He was disturbed by the immorality present in his society. But the most despicable of all the vices of his people was their idol worship. They paid lip service to Allah while they worshipped statues and pictures made with their own hands. He could see right through the facade of dry rituals that the Arabs engaged in, even during the pilgrimage. In fact, he was not alone in his aversion to idol worship. There was Waraq bin Nawfal who had abandoned idolatry and became a Christian. He was able to read the scriptures of the Jews and Christians in Hebrew and decided to follow this path. It is unknown what form of Christianity he followed, but since he was a scholar, he probably had his own idea about what the Prophet Isa alayhi really taught. There was also Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufayl, who went to Syria in search for a better religion. He met a rabbi and was interested in becoming a Jew. After asking him some questions about Judaism, he felt unhappy with what he learned about the religion. Then he met a Christian scholar and was interested in becoming a Christian. However, he was again displeased with the answers. He decided to simply worship Allah alone, and he raised his hands to the sky. Allah, I declare that I follow the religion of Ibrahim. Indeed, the way of Ibrahim ﷺ had become virtually lost, and it was impossible to try to reconstruct or revive the original teachings with nothing short of another revelation from Allah. He used to stand in front of the Kaaba and announce, "None of you really follows the way of Ibrahim ﷺ except me." Zayd was quite vocal about his beliefs and used to criticize people who sacrificed animals in the names of their idols. He was also known to rescue little girls who were about to be buried alive by their fathers. "Give her to me, I will bring her up," he pleaded. Once the girl would grow up, he would approach the parents. "Now, if you like, you can take her back, or if you prefer, I can continue to take care of her." This person, Zayd ibn Amr, his son, Sa'id ibn Zayd. Sa'id ibn Zayd is one of the 10 companions promised paradise. The Prophet ﷺ said he saw Zayd ibn Amr in Jannah. Okay? But people like Waraq and Zayd were few and far in between, and there's no record of them even trying to collectively change society. In fact, Zayd died while repeating the statement, "Allah, if I only knew how to worship you, I would have done so." Muhammad ﷺ was now about 40, and he began to go on retreats in the mountains around Mecca, spending a few weeks by himself. Rather than socializing and engaging in tribal politics, he preferred to be by himself. He had a wife and children to look after and worked full-time, but these retreats became a priority in his life. One of his favorite destinations was a cave in Mount Hira, about 2 miles from Mecca. The cave was very small and just big enough for 1 or 2 people to fit inside. He would take enough food and provisions with himself and stay in the cave worshiping Allah and reflecting on life and its purpose. When his supplies ran out, he returned home. After a while, he felt the urge to go again to the mountains. During this period, he began to have dreams, which would come true exactly as he saw them in his sleep, but he didn't know what that meant. The period of intermittent retreats continued for several months on end. It was as if he was searching for something. He felt lost and was in need of guidance just as much as anyone else. So then, inshallah, tomorrow we'll continue with the part 3 of the revelation. And this is the last part of prophethood. It's the only part that remains of prophethood, as our true dreams. Right? Wahy has been cut off. There's no revelation going to come to any one of us. But true dreams are the only part that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has left open. So sometimes that happens. When we're thinking about something, we're making dua about something, then we do see a true dream. Or there's sometimes it's a scary dream. It's a scary dream, but it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to wake us up. If somebody, let's say they're not praying or they're doing something in their life that is wrong, and they see a dream that terrifies them, and then they use that as a means to realize that the way that I'm living my life is not appropriate, and I need to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This can be a true dream. The dreams have 3 types. One is a true dream from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then there's ahlam. Ahlam are from shaitan or inappropriate dreams. And then there's 3 hadith al-nafs. Hadith al-nafs are subconscious. Let's say that you're watching something, you're reading something before you go to sleep, and then you see that in your dream. That's neither from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, neither from shaitan, that's all from your own mind. Right? But sometimes about dreams, don't tell anybody about your dreams. Don't tell anybody about your dreams, whether they're good or bad, except for people that are very close to you and that you trust. Because someone misinterprets a dream, it can occur how they interpret it. Or if it's a good dream, right? Jealousy is a real thing. Jealousy is a real thing. Remember Yusuf alayhi salam, when he saw the dream, he told his father, and he said that لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيدوا لك كيدا. إن الشيطان الإنسان عدو مبين. He said, don't tell your brothers this dream because they might plot against you, and shaitan is a clear enemy to people. So if you see a good dream, be careful, right? And sometimes if you see a nightmare or a bad dream, right, and you wake up, say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, say لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير, and turn over to the other side and try to go back to sleep. If you can't, stand up and pray 2 rakats to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But be careful about dreams, because dreams sometimes, they can be trying to tell us something, and sometimes it can be nothing. So don't overreact. But if there is something, try to talk to people that you trust and you know that they have your best interest in their mind for you. But just don't go telling random people about every dream that you see. Okay? We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq and guidance. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.